April 24th, 2024, Trudeau is back on the soapbox, guys, talking about how bad Canada is and how he's going to fix it now after 8 years of his reign. Let's listen.
So seriously. Last week, we released our budget, which is all about fairness for every generation, especially Gen Z and millennials. Younger generations are worried that regardless of how hard they work, how many side hustles they get, it looks like they won't have the kind of life that they saw their parents and grandparents able to give them. Avant, quand les gens travaillaient fort, faire. If we want to make homes more affordable, we need to build more of them. And that's exactly what we're doing. Our housing plan will deliver almost 3.9 million homes in the coming years. And an important part of this plan that we're going to talk about today is the use of public lands. We're making a historic shift in our approach to public lands that will unlock 250,000 new homes for Canadians by 2031. And to convert these public lands to housing, we'll be using all the tools available, and we'll be partnering with...
So this looks like his next solution is going to take Crown land that has been the sacred Crown land that we're not even allowed to just build dirt bike trails on anymore and go enjoy the woods and out in nature. No, we're going to build more homes. And then you have where's your tree hugging Minister of the Environment? What does he think about this, Trudeau?
With home builders and housing providers. See, right now, governments across Canada are sitting on surplus, underused, and vacant public lands like empty office towers or low-rise buildings. There is great potential to build more housing, but we all have to step up.
Oh, sorry, I guess I jumped the gun on the Crown land. Low-rise buildings, so let's build up. So
all of us together. As part of our work with municipal, provincial, and private sector partners, we will launch a $500 million public lands acquisition fund so we can purchase land from other levels of government and build more middle-class homes. En libérant des terrains publics. Another thing we'll do is lease public lands instead of selling them off wherever we can. Leasing public lands to partners means that public lands stays public, and an affordable home, therefore, will stay affordable. I think that's something that every level of government can get behind. Le gouvernement fédéral possède...
Oh, man. Trudeau, of course... Oh, it's just like... 3 years ago making the food program for kids in school. 3 years later, still not one ham sandwich has been served, but a lot of people got rich on it.
On doit utiliser ces terres. Canada Post, for example, has more than 1,700 post offices across the country, many of them in central locations in their communities. We could build homes or apartments on top of these offices that meets the needs of communities while maintaining the services Canadians expect. On national defense properties that are not required for defense operations, we can build affordable housing and prioritize the needs of members of the Canadian Armed Forces and their families. Work is already underway with the Department of National Defense to unlock 14 surplus properties for homes. Now, it's not how previous governments used to do things, but it's not rocket science either. Over the past years, our government has unlocked over 10,000 homes on public land. Ce sera pas facile. And I've spent the last few weeks talking with Canadians. The couple who's expecting their second child and needs an extra room. The workers who deal with long commutes.
He's been talking with Canadians? Yeah, freaking right. Your approved Canadian liberal lovers, paid for actors. Because we all know you won't even let any Canadians get near you for fear of your life, I'm sure. That's why you have a barrage of security detail SUV, gas burner SUVs traveling with you. And even when you fly to different countries, it costs $1 million in protection because you bring, 100 people with you everywhere you go?
Commutes every day to go into work. The students who can't afford to pay for a rent that just keeps increasing. Canadians need homes they can afford. This is one of the most urgent issues that people are facing. And we made a promise to Canadians that we were going to solve this housing crisis.
So 8 years ago, you promised that Canada was going to be better off with you, and then you broke that promise because now Canada is in the worst state in my entire 40 years, and for all, it's pretty bad. I mean, it's not just bad; it's really bad. So you were a liar then, or are you a liar now, or are you a liar both times? So you're just a liar.
And using public lands to build more homes is a big part of our plan. And on va aussi working hard every day to make housing more affordable so that every generation has a fair chance to succeed. Thank you all. Merci. And the person who's working hardest every single day on housing.
Look, thank you so much, everyone, for being here. To my colleagues, Anita and Pam in particular, thanks for hosting us here in Oakville. Prime Minister, good to be with you. Karina, the first time I've seen you in person since the new edition. Congrats. And build them by the millions. One of the reasons that it's become difficult to build homes at pace over the last number of years is home building has become very expensive. The cost of land, labor, materials, supplies, and interest have all gone up over the last few years, which has made it very difficult to build homes at prices that people can actually afford. One of the things that the federal government can...
Why does everything cost 2 times as much over the last few years? Why? Why is there so much inflation? Why is there so much government spending that makes more inflation? Why is our dollar becoming so useless in terms of purchasing power? It's all your guys' fault. And now, I'm going to fix the problem. Let's fast forward. This guy's just a goof.
Nous allons maintenant commencer avec la période des questions. We will now start with the question and answer period. The first question goes to David Lee from the Oakville Beaver.
Hello, Prime Minister. Just wondering if you could talk a little bit about how this plan will specifically impact Halton. I'm not sure if you have any idea how much federal land would be unlocked here or how many houses could be built on this federal land.
We have federal land right across the country, but we also know there's public land owned by municipalities and sometimes the province that is not being utilized for development because of charges or costs or just an inability within the local budget to actually get that rolling. So what we're proposing is not just moving forward on long-term leases of federal public land to developers to build that affordable housing that will be there for generations to come, but also to work with municipalities to say, if you want, we will take this unused land off of your hands. We'll pay you well for it, and with the money that we pay you for, you're going to be able to develop affordable homes on that property. And public lands should stay public. The idea that we'll put long-term leases to make sure that we're remaining accountable to Canadians to keep affordable homes on that for the next 99 years, for example, is really, really important because public lands...
So it's the same thing as when you, on First Nation land, you're going to have a 99-year lease, but all of a sudden, you know what? We change our mind. Got to get your house off my land.
Should stay public and should remain in the public interest in serving the most vulnerable members of the public. And that's a direct contrast, not just with what the Conservative government previously did when they sold off federal properties in a fire sale to try and balance the books at all costs just in time for an election.
Oh, to save some debt. Yeah. So now we don't pay the entire GST in debt every year.
But it's also, as Sean mentioned, Pierre Poilievre's plan for housing right now. Sell off public lands to the highest bidders. Well, if you're selling off public lands to the highest builders to build homes, what kind of homes do you think that developer is going to build if they're paying top dollar for federal lands? And once the federal government sells off a piece of property, it's gone forever. The public no longer owns it for a one-time boost to a budget.
We don't even own the land that we own. Your house on your private land. No, you have to pay taxes every year on that. You have to pay property taxes. And if you don't pay your property tax, well, guess what? They'll take it. And then you have the bylaw and all these bureaucratic assholes telling you what you can and can't do on your own land. If you don't if you don't pay that fee to get their new liberal heating system, or if you're not on their utility bills, you can't even have a tiny home. We've had that in the Okanagan where they built like a tiny home on their property out of town, like not even in downtown, but way out in the skirts. And then some neighbor, some bylaw somehow gets a hold of like, oh, like they're not paying utility bills out there. They're functioning on solar. They're using compost toilets. No, that's illegal. You guys, we're going to evacuate. You have to be evacuated from your home. We got to destroy the tiny home. You're not allowed to live on your own property. So bullshit, we own anything.
Not the kind of vision that solves this housing crisis. So right here in Halton, we're going to be rolling up our sleeves with all the different municipal leaders to look carefully at land that's been underutilized, that's been remained vacant, that has opportunities to build good homes on it, and the federal government is going to step up with that partner to keep that land public for the long term, but get building homes people can afford on it right now. That's our plan for right here in Halton, right across the GTA, and indeed right across the country.
Follow up? No, I'm great. Thank you. Follow up. Okay. Next reporter.
Hi, Michelle Song with CBC News. Your opponent was photographed posing with anti-carbon tax protesters flying F Trudeau flags. In the video, Pierre Poilievre is heard saying that you are a liar and everything you say is, quote, bullshit. Can we get your response, please?
Every politician has to make choices about what kind of leader they want to be. Are they a kind of leader that is going to exacerbate divisions, fears, and polarization in our country, make personal attacks, and welcome the support of conspiracy theorists and extremists? Because that's exactly what Pierre Poilievre continues to do.
Oh my God, that's exactly, he's explaining himself. That's called Trudeauing. He is Trudeauing. If you haven't seen the video on Trudeauing, you got to type it in. From Andrew, did a whole video on it. You're a liar. You're a hypocrite, and you gaslight. And in combination of all those to an extreme level, you become Trudeau. And you accuse your opponent of doing exactly what you're doing. He divided Canada. He segregated. He created divisive hate. He called everybody, his opponents, conspiracy theorists and racists. Oh my God, it's just so hard to watch this asshole.
Not just when you see him engaging with members of Diagolon, but also when he refuses to condemn and reject the endorsement of Alex Jones. Alex Jones is a proven liar and conspiracy theorist who has to pay hundreds of millions of dollars because he lied about the Sandy Hook killing that killed 20 little kids. This is the kind of man who's saying Pierre Poilievre has the right ideas to bring the country towards the right, towards conspiracy.
I don't know what he's talking about with the Sandy Hook thing, but Alex Jones did predict 9/11 down to many details. I saw the Tucker Carlson interview on it, and go check it out if you haven't seen it. And, he just called it out. He's called out many things because conspiracies aren't always conspiracy theories. They're often criminal conspiracies, and they come true, and they have.
Conspiracy theories towards extremism, towards polarization, towards the kind of lies that Alex Jones is peddling still. So the fact that Pierre Poilievre hasn't stood up to condemn that endorsement, the fact that he continues to encourage the kind of divisive approaches to Canada that I don't think Canadians want to see, really shows that he will do anything to win, anything to torque up negativity and fear. And it only emphasizes...
Oh my God, he's talking about himself still. This is so difficult to watch. This has to be its own little segment. I'm going to have to do another video just on Trudeau. Look how angry and torn up he's getting trying to explain himself, trying to argue his point.
...is that he has nothing to say to actually solve the problems that he's busy amplifying.
What are you talking about? Pierre has laid out a whole plan of exactly what he wants to do to get rid of you and fix Canada. Oh my God, this is hilarious.
En français?
Okay. Je pense qu'une des choses qu'on voit, c'est que M. Poilievre.
Can you imagine he has to re-say his whole speech in French now? Oh, guys, like, we're gonna have to do a whole nother video. Irnieracing News, guys, I'm just overwhelmed by this right now. That's you probably are too. Make sure you like share this and like this and try to beat that censorship algorithm because the internet's been censored thanks to Trudeau, and everything's been censored from Trudeau.